Woo! Good morning, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, everywhere. There is going to be a recording of this, a snippet of this, or a live version of this. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson, and welcome to the broadcast channel, everyone. All right, here we talk about horror movies, sci fi movies, comic books, comic book movies, my comic book artwork, my artwork, things of that nature, all that goody good stuff, the fun stuff in life. If you're looking for politics and religion, move along. That doesn't happen here. Those are the two things we don't talk about here is politics and religion because when we do, people start losing their damn minds about those two topics. And we don't need that drama in anybody's lives. You can get that enough just by turning on your TV. So go do that. All right. So again, welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. And we are bringing you all kinds of cool stuff just to talk about. Let's see, this Sunday, the 29th, because today is the 27th, Saturday is the 28th, and the 29th, we are doing that book signing in Ozark at the community center right here. Bum, bum, bum. My cover artwork on a novel out there in the world, which is pretty awesome. Already looking forward to book two and potentially doing some more work for special prints inside the book as well. So this book will have a sleeve on it. So it's going to have the artwork on it twice, I believe. Now I could no, it did show that it was that he was doing a sleeve and he was doing the regular side as well. So he's doing a hardback and he's doing a soft back as well for this book. And this is James Bishop who is doing this. So be on the lookout for that. You can already order it on Amazon right now. If you're looking for Sour Worlds Calamides, that is the title of this book. We will be working in starting book two cover pretty soon. So I look forward to doing that. I look forward to getting my comps. And speaking of that, I will be working on two separate pieces of artwork while at the book signing on the 29th. So the 29th, not only are we doing book signing, but I'm going to be doing some live inking there as well. Trying to keep this from falling on the floor. And let me find it in my multitude of pieces that I'm working on right now. There it is. This is one piece. This is his one of his characters coming up in the book two. This is Harrow. He's got razor wire and metal wings and blue jeans. Every girl's heartthrob, right there. And then I don't know what this character's name is, but it's a tree woodland character that he's got in his books. This is a horror anthology, basically. This book that he's writing for James Smith, and this character is a tree composite. Um, kind of think not exactly in the lines of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings with the walking trees and talking trees, but it's very similar. This is my rendition of his character so far. Of it, I'm working on the vinage and I'm working on the more wood aspect of him, but based on the character arc, this is what his character looks like by another artist. This is not my work. So right here, this is the other artist's work as opposed to my work. Right there. The other artist's work, my work. All right. The other artist works in digital format. And don't forget to like, share, and follow as you get here. That way we get more viewership up in here. Because sometimes Tiki Taki likes to censor me, or not censor me. They they restrict me on certain things that I say sometimes because they just love me that much. Because I just speak my mind. I don't give a shit. Let's see here. So these two I'm going to be inking up at the show. I'm also going to take my portfolios in case somebody wants to look and see what I've got available for them at the show. So there, those portfolios will be available at the show. If you are in the Ozark, Arkansas area on the 29th, stop in, check us out, and have a chit chat while we autograph some things. You know, because we'll both be autographing the books. There for. Let's see here. We're going to be talking about nostalgia today, especially the stuff we remember as kids. Um, I was just talking to one of my regulars that I'm surprised isn't on here right now, Dennis. We were just talking prior to the show about some nostalgic shows from back in the '60s and '70s. You know, me being a child of the '70s, he's a little bit older than I am, but not by much. Um, he remembers some older shows that I don't remember. So, and we were just chit chatting about those. All right, so we are working on the new horror series. We're five deep in the new horror series. I'm excited. The first one that kicked it off was Ghostface, of course. I hadn't drawn Ghostface before, so and all of them are going to have this corresponding blood splatter that goes at an arc around there. Now, when I say that, some will be a hair bit different than others, and I'll get into that. Freddy Krueger, and there will be some changes in this one too, whenever it happens. But you see that telltale blood splatter sign because it'll look cool on T-shirts and things like that. So there's Freddy. There's going to be a few changes, and then Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, right there. Again, that swoop coming to the blade, and then my first time ever drawing Pumpkinhead. Dun dun dun. Right there again, the swoop coming from his hand here, going over this way. Right there, the first time drawing Pumpkinhead. And again, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some more muscle tone. There's going to be some more veinage and things like that all throughout because he's nothing but veins since he's so thin. And then my first time drawing Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Right there. Now this one is going to be a little bit different. Yes, it's still going to be the blood splatter. It's coming out of his mouth, but there's going to be honeybees as well mixed in with the blood splatter coming this way. So just think about that. Honeybees and blood splatter. All right, that's number 5. And some of the next ones I'm going to get to is like the Salem's Lot vampire. He's going to be in there. I'm going to do another Jeepers Creepers of the Creep. I'm going to do another Chucky. I'm going to do some more Pennywise, both versions. Tim Curry and Skarsgård. Let's see, Jigsaw himself, not Billy the Puppet, which is up on my shelf up there. You've seen that one a million times. I'm surprised nobody's taken off my hands, but it needs to be. Let's see, Reagan from The Exorcist is going to be in there as well. Hannibal Lecter, The Nun, and Iron Lung, which I still need to watch that movie. Um, there's a horror movie called Iron Lung. It's got this. I've done Christianity before. I appreciate the encouragement. We all know that. And again, we don't talk about religion or politics here. All right. There's channels for that. If you're looking for those channels, you can take a hike over to those channels. Because here we talk about horror movies. We talk about blood splatter. We talk about psycho killers. We talk about comic books and comic book artwork. Yes, I do know that there are religious comic books out there as well. I used to have some. I actually do still have some out there. The Archangel series. I have that series in house. Um, so Iron Lung is a horror movie about this creature. I don't know the true concept of it yet because I haven't watched the movie, but I plan on watching the movie. And look forward to seeing it because I want to see what this creature looks like. Just from what I've pulled up on the internet, Google's a good place to find stuff. Um, it's an interesting concept, if you will, for this creature. Multiple mouths and all the stuff, and long body and whatever. So I need to watch that movie. So I have not seen it yet. So there you go. All right. So on the other flip side, hello Dennis. We were just talking about you. We've got the Harley Who Laughs, based off of Harley Quinn, but with Harley Quinn Who Laughs. So this one is one of my newer pieces. Even though she's an older character, I just now found out about her. And, she came out in 22. So that's, what, 4 years ago? And I'm just now finding out about her. So there's that one. And then this is the other mask that she has. They draw her several different ways. Apparently, they also do that with the Ultimates, the Ultimate Batmans and Wonder Womans and stuff like that. People gripe about, well, they never draw her the same way or whatever. The Batman Who Laughs, this one's ready to ink. And some of this I might be inking during the show as well, depending on how fast I ink the other ones, those type of things. And then a me as Wolverine right there. Welcome to the show, Dennis. Like I said, we were just talking about you. We're gonna discuss nostalgia when it comes to the old 60s, 70s stuff like that. But this is me as Wolverine, based off of the Wolverine #1 cover. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go check that out. I do have it running around here somewhere. Just don't know where it is at this point in time. And then this bane of my existence right now. This one's a little painful at this particular juncture, since the and I can't do that because if I say that, then I'm going to be restricted again. So the lovely gentleman that, yes, Logan Montemad, yes, the lovely gentleman that commissioned this piece 3 months ago, January, as a matter of fact, the 20th, and this is now after the 20th of March, soon to be April, commissioned this piece because a friend of ours passed away. We both, a mutual friend, passed away December 31st. She just didn't wake up. And heart failure, all that good stuff. He commissioned a piece to remind him or remind people of her whenever they came into the office that he works at. I know exactly where he works because I pass it every day. But 3 months ago, he commissioned this piece and has yet to pay a single dime on it. I've stopped working on it, and I'm not going to continue it until I start seeing some payments. Um, because he keeps promising me, and he's the manager. Let that sink in. He's the manager. He commissioned this piece. He approached me to have this piece done, and it is a witch Stitch, Lilo and Stitch. She loved Stitch as well, but she was also a witch herself, a Wiccan, all that good stuff. So this is the piece I'm working on. It's not complete. It is very close to complete, but it is not complete yet. And I'm just done working on it until I get some payment. And if he doesn't buy it, I know probably somebody out there will. So, and he'll just have to commission a new piece because at this point in time, I'm just chalking it up as loss. Um, and the biggest kicker is he works for Aaron's Rental, which is no longer Aaron's Rental. It has not been Aaron's Rental for 5 to 6 months now. Okay, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe 4 months tops, because it changed ownership in either November or December of last year. His kicker is, hey, we just got bought by this other company, so it's going to be a minute before I can get a payment to you. I drive past your office every day, your business every day. I see your car there every day because it's an ugly color. You drive a newer car than I do, a more expensive car than I do, even at a truck that I drive. You came to me, commissioned this piece, got it all in writing, but yet you haven't made a single payment in 3 months. Make that make sense. And you're the manager. Is that somebody you'd want to do business with? Going to that business? That's just a general question. Me, I try to do things on a timely manner. If I'm getting payments, because I do layaway, okay? With my artwork, I do layaway. So it's not like if you can't drop my asking price right off the bat, you can pay over time. I usually will not start the piece until I get half payment in. This time I started the piece before I even got a single payment in, which is on me, you know. But again, I feel like if I did flip this out there and represent it to the public as available, that it would be snatched up. But who knows? I thought that was some of my other artwork and it's still sitting here, you know. All right. So, this piece will be going out as well. This one is complete, including bum 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 my certificate of authenticity, which does not cost extra. Right there, my little silver sticker, my little silver alien sticker, right there. And then I'm going to be putting another sticker right here on the back as well. That says thank you for purchasing a 1-to-1 right there. So this one's going out to its new owner as well. Let's sit that back over there. And then don't forget that we have these as well, which you're seeing this painting directly behind me right there. Right there. That is job number 3 cover for Legacy Comics. The job. And then William Russell Psycho Sal, my first professional comic book cover out there. And this is number 2, but they're both number 3 issues. So go figure that. Also, my Condry Man's Best Friend covers and comics are coming in because I did the entire book. So I'll have those in hand as well. And then I'll be picking up my comps for the novel by James Bishop that we're going to be doing the book signing with this weekend, this Sunday, in Ozark, Arkansas. So I'll get my comps from him then as well. All right. One more item that I'm going to talk about before we get into this nostalgia of the old TV shows from back in the day, the old sci-fis and animes and things like that. I don't remember exactly what year. I think it was like 2017, maybe. I did this little piece for a commission while I was at one of the shows I was working at with one of the AP guys that I worked with. And he requested a Punisher to be done up. And so I drew him one up. It didn't turn out horrible. It was okay. And there were some things as I'm looking at it that I'm gonna probably revisit and change. But this is a copy of the piece from a picture. This is just the black and white. Now, when it was all said and done, it had some grayscale in it. It had red blood splatter going around behind him and things like that. And so I'm probably gonna revisit this piece and do something else and more cool with it, if you will. Because as I'm looking at it, there's just a lot of defects with it, you know. And this is the true testament of an artist when you can critique your own work and see where you fucked up, you know. Because like right here, this arm doesn't work right. to how it matches up right here with the bend to the muscle right here. And then this, the wrist gets a little small down here for my taste, as I'm looking back on it now. Um, but everything else looks pretty cool. Um, the gauntlets that he's wearing, things like that, strapped up so that in case somebody does a knife attack on him, boom, he can, block with his gauntlets. Um, but all in all, it didn't turn out bad. It's just now that I'm looking at it again, there's some changes that I would make, you know, and just how it goes whenever you look and relook at some of the artwork that you pull that you've had sitting around for forever. And so, there will be some changes, and I'm going to redo this piece, revisit this piece, if you will. And I know the person that has this piece still follows me on Facebook because we chit chat every now and again. So that'll be a cool thing for him to see the new piece, and all that good stuff. So be looking forward to that. Okay, so back in the 60s, 70s, and even the early 80s, nostalgia was running rampant. And what I mean by that is the anime and sci-fi TV series that came out back then. And I mean, you had stuff like Battle for the Planets, which is not what it was called on the Japanese side. It was Gotchi Man. There's a whole other word in there prior to that, Gotchi Man, but that's what it was called. You had Mirror Man, you had Ultron or Ultraman, you had Space Battleship Tomato, close to tomato. Um, Message from Space, Galactic Wars. I mean, the list goes on and on. And then, of course, you had Godzilla. You had, like I said, Ultraman. You had, what was that other one, Dennis? That you sent me the video on? What was that one called? Plus, they had some dark sci-fi back in the early days. I'm trying to remember what that name is, Dennis. That of that video that you sent me from the Outer Limits creators, basically. Let me see if I can pull this one up because it's just cool the amount of stuff that is relevant still today that still hits pretty hard even today. Hello, Casey. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today? All right, let's see here. Like I said, always Godzilla was always one from back in the day, and then you've got just all kinds of different ones that still hit pretty hard, and they were dark. Not just the anime stuff, but the actual live action uh, TV series like House from 1977 from the Japanese side. Pretty dark, uh, fantasy, sci-fi, horror, right there. Um, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or somewhere like that. Uh, and that is one of those. It like involves what is it? My brain ain't braining this morning for some reason. It involves like superstitions. There we go. Included into it and things of that nature. Um, so I'm not gonna list the whole thing, uh, but you got School in the Crosshairs. You got Death Powder, 1986, The Human Vapor, The War in Space, Zone Fighter TV movie compilations, Giant Robo, The Day the Earth Stood Still TV movie version, Message from Space, Tetsuo, the Iron Man, and again, Death Powder from 1986. So they've got Death Powder on there twice, and I don't understand why if it's a 10 list piece. So that one could just be some false information on some of that stuff. But Spectre Man 1971, Battle for the Planets 1978, Space Battleship Yamato. So it wasn't Tomato, it was Yamato. 1974, Mirror Man 1971, Star Zinger 1978, Message from Space Galactic Wars 1978, one season. You can find that on Amazon Prime. And Star Wolf 1978. And there's so many more out there. Space Carrier Blue Noah 1979, one season. So if there's any you remember from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, because I mean, like Ultraman, Voltron, uh, Battle for the Planets was just ahead of its time when it came to the anime side of things. Even though it was 78, it still looked completely different than some of these other ones that predestined it, like uh, Spectre Man from 71, or even Space Battleship Yamato, and what was that one right there? Star Wolf, which came out the same year as Battle for the Planets. But again, Battle for the Planets had the cool look. I mean, Silverhawks of the 80s, um, Thundercats of the 80s, GI Joe of the 80s. I mean, the list goes on and on. And those aren't Japanese side, but you know, but it's just the nostalgia, the things that we remember, the things that we can see, and it's tangible, and it just brings back our childhood all over again. Um, it's just I still enjoy the Thundercats, to this day, and I'm 54 years old. But but why are you still playing with the action figures? I don't. I collect them. All right. That's why they are looking like this. They're encapsulated in a case. I don't sit there and play with them. Ooh, look at that. I'm articulated. Oh, I can swing my sword. No, I'm not that kind of a guy. All right. I still have my Hot Wheels from when I was a kid. Some of them, not all of them. And they're encapsulated as well. If you, as you can see right here beside me, I don't have mine displayed like a lot of people do in glass cases and lights and all that stuff. I do have a light in there. It's just not turned on. But all these action figures, all the way in there, and this other wall as well, and up top in there, all the way around the top, nothing but action figures. Some are loose, but most, I'd say about 98%, are still in the package. So I do not break them out and display them and move them around like some people do every now and again with their own collections. But that's just me. Um, the I don't even see one. I kind of see her right here. I'll show you my action figures right here. Mm-hmm. 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 All right, get the dog hair off of it. Let me get her posed in a good position for you guys. All right, so this is my action figure. It is a sculpt figure that you can hook to a base, and you can pose them however you want. I've got a male and a female. This happens to be the female version that helps you draw with. Instead of having, this is if I can even pull it. Get over there. So this is the female figure, as opposed to what they. God, as opposed to what they used to look like back in the day. Damn it. This foot's gone again. Son of a bitch. All right. So this is the newer stuff. More realistic looking, if you will, as opposed to what we had back in the day, which was boom, 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 the wooden wire figure. And there's several different ones, several different styles of this one as well. So not only do you have this style that's got the solid block body down in here, but you also have the more articulated one right here that has the ribs so that you can bend him however you want. Whereas before you had this solid ball in the middle and you could still bend them the way you wanted to, all that good stuff. But they just started to make them a little bit different, all that goody good stuff right there. And then you move into the 25th century, right here, the 30 millionth century, the end of the world times, and you get stuff like this. Again, this is just the female character. They also have different hands, different feet configurations, and things like that that you can add on here as well. Now, they do have another pack, which I'm thinking about getting, which includes weapons, as well. So not only do you just have this, but then you can pose them with, a rifle, a water gun, those type things. And, if you're into the military aspect or, whatever your comic book is or things like that, boom, you've got the opportunity to now be able to use that with different stuff. So there you go. Now, getting back to the nostalgia side of things, what's the most nostalgic science fiction or anime movie TV series that you remember? Well, the kids shouldn't have been playing with it. I mean, I'm sorry that they did, but these are still cool all the way around. And I can still buy them all over the place. Timu's a great source for these. So is Ali. But you know, I understand everything comes with a choking hazard now. Even the sea turtles have to, you know, those little plastic ring holders on your soda pops that you're supposed to cut up before you throw them in the trash, so that they don't get hooked around a sea turtle's neck or things like that. Yeah. So there is choking hazards for everything, and now I get that, but I will still continue to buy them. I don't have kids in the house. I do have animals in the house, but they will just chew them up before they uh, end up choking on them. Those type of things. So what are the nostalgic TV series and movies you remember back in the day that if you were to see it on TV, you would immediately turn it on and watch it? That's the question. Because, like I said, when it came to like Mirror Man and Mirror Man and Ultraman were almost the same thing, the same concept, if you will. I don't remember when Ultraman actually made his appearance. Um, Let me see here, see if I can find Ultraman. Dun, dun, dun. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I don't remember when Ultraman made his appearance, but Mirror Man is a very similar character when it came to that. The whole kung fu fighting and all that good stuff. Uh, and a lot of those old kung fu movies back in the day. You remember the big ass Shogun? Oh, absolutely. I had them. I had those Shogun warriors that shot little missiles off their fingers whenever you push the little button up on top. Yeah, I love those. I wish I still had it today because those are very expensive if you want to buy one now. But yeah, I had two of them. I'm pretty sure as a kid. So, welcome to the show, Roy. Now that you're, you know, 35 minutes in, if you hadn't been watching those other ladies, out there, you could have already been here. You know, as we've already talked about, your hags are trash as they got blown the fuck out in that game yesterday. Sorry, couldn't resist. And like I posted on your Facebook post, if you're not number one, you suck. Sorry, bud. Couldn't help it. Marvel did a comic series about that. Yes, they did. Marvel did a had Voltron as well. They also brought in, somebody was talking about it the other day, Conan. Even though they didn't own the rights to Conan, they still did. Marvel still did the Conan book. Um, doesn't matter. They didn't go any farther than that, now did they? They didn't make it to that Elite Eight or the whatever four, and then to the big dance. So they suck. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you think, bud. They suck if they couldn't make it to the championship, to the final two. They suck. Yes, Micronauts. They were awesome. Um, I had all those toys as a kid. Like I said, I did have the comic books as a kid as well. I mean, I used to have a ton of comics that I regret getting rid of, selling for, all the wrong reasons, because it was the only thing I could do to make a payment for a down payment on a house that I don't live in anymore, to a woman I no longer live with or am married to, you know? And I'm okay with that. The only hindsight is I would rather have the comic books back, because if I had the comic books back, my Uncanny X Men would be like 15 to 20 issues away from being completely complete, including number one in the Uncanny X Men from 1963. I regret getting rid of that comic book. Absolutely 100%. Sad idiot. I think Roy left because we were bad mouthing his team. So, either that or he's crying with a spoonful of Miracle Whip. I don't know. I'm sorry, Roy, that they didn't make it any farther. No, I'm not. As I told you, they were going to get their ass handed to them. But no, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe me. You guys thought you had stood a chance. Oh, let's see here. So, let's sorry. What do we have in the oh, what do we have? Okay, so no, 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 no. Right here, and right here. Okay, there we go. So, with that being said, what do you guys remember besides the Micronauts and like we've already talked about, Ultron or Ultraman? Ultron was in there too. Voltron was in there as well. Um, I have a Starship toy called Starbird. I think that made cool ass acceleration and decel. Yes, it did. Good morning again, Casey. Welcome to the show. How are you feeling today? When does travel happen? All that good stuff. All the good things in life. What do you remember when it comes to anime and um, sci-fi movies from back in the day? You're just a touch older than Dennis and myself and Roy. Yeah, Roy, I think jumped ship. I think I could be wrong. Roy, are you still here? Here's some tissue for you. Japanese did it awesome with stuff, and like Dennis and I were talking about before the show. Um, as we look on it now, it looks like shit, just straight up. It looks like crap. But when we watched it back when we were kids, and even into our early 20s, it was the coolest shit ever, to watch, because it was something new, it was something exciting, it was magical, it was whimsical, it was fantastical, you know. And just to get caught up in that episode, that 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 just to watch watch it and watch them destroy a city with the Godzilla walking through, or Battle for the Planets, the anime from '78. Um, just how well done the panels were, because I saw that. That was the probably one of the biggest shockers in that series, because the Jayhawks usually make it to the Final Four, um, because they're a basketball school, because that's where basketball was invented. How many points were scored in the first basketball game? Anybody know that answer? I do. 1 point was scored because they used a apple bucket or basket, but they didn't cut the bottom out. So when they shot the basket, it stayed in the to the basket. It stayed in the basket. That was it. 1 point was scored, and then they got it down and played again. But so the very first scoring basket was 1 point. Exactly. Had no bottom to it. They didn't cut it out. It just held the ball in the basket. But nostalgia comes in many forms as well. It doesn't just come in the form of TV shows or movies that we remember from back in the day. It could be cars, it could be cameras, it could be electronics from back in the day. Because those are some of the most sought after items in today's society. It's just like whenever trends come back. Some trends should never come back. The mullet should never come back. The big ass bangs should never come back. You know that all the hairspray that killed the ozone layer that the girls used in the '70s and '80s from the Aquanet should never come back. Bell bottoms should never have come back. Skinny jeans never should have been invented in the first place, because the people that wear them shouldn't be in them. All right, and it's not a shaming thing. It's just skinny jeans just look like trash. There's a person walking around my girlfriend's work that wears skinny shorts. He doesn't need to be wearing them because they look completely ridiculous. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of things that choked fishes back in the day because people would just not worry about them, and that's what I was talking about. Those plastic Coke bands that would get around the turtles' necks, that you're supposed to cut up. Somebody saw me cutting one up one day, and they go, "You're a fisherman, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." How could you tell? He was like, "I see you cutting up the bands." I was like, "Yeah, it's just what you're supposed to do." And a lot of people just leave the bands whole and have them on their boats and things like that, and they fly off. And then yes, the fish get them or the turtles get them, depending on where you are. If you're in the ocean or whatever, most, I say most, not most, a lot of bodies of water empty out into the ocean at some point in time or another. So even if you did get it in a river or a lake or whatever, it's eventually going to make it to the ocean, to the turtles or any other fishes, porpoises that get their nose caught in that ring and things of that nature. So always cut those up, folks. So, Voltron. I used to have all those action figures, all those toys, and they would connect together to create the ultimate Ultra, or yeah, Ultraman or Voltron. I see. I keep saying Ultraman and Voltron. So Voltron, all the animals that created the big Voltron robot, used to have those. I had a few of the Battle of the Planets action figures back in the day, but not very many of them. I think I had two of them. Um, but those were just cool. And I think, what is it? One of the big producers of toys, not hot toys, but like Centurion 7 or something like that. They did some Battle for the Planet action figures, and expensive as all get out to purchase in today's society. Um, but people like that type of stuff. I mean, if you want to drop 120 bucks on an action figure, go for it. That's not going to be me. Would I love to have them all? Absolutely, but not at 100 bucks a piece. Okay. And some of those action figures just continue to rise in value. Um, and it's just like if you had some of the original action figures from back in the day, like War Duke from Dungeons and Dragons, not worth a whole lot, but in just nostalgia value alone, because they've remade him in a $30 action figure, you know. Whereas this guy was probably like $2 whenever he came out originally back in the 80s. You know, I think it was the 80s. I could be wrong. Um, what date do you have on you, buddy? It's right there. It's right there. 1983. Yes, 1983. It tells me right there. So 1983 is when this action figure came out. Right there. And this was the good guy. I don't have his sword or shield for him, but he came out roughly about the same time. Yep, 1983, right there. And then there was a bunch of other characters for Dungeons and Dragons as well that I would love to find all of them. I can find them, you know, but some people are asking some ridiculous prices for them, especially the condition that they're in. But yeah, I'd love to have mine that I had as a kid, because I never should have sold those off. I never should have sold any of my stuff off. But I was a stupid young kid that didn't look to the future value of them. I was looking at the right now value of them, because I had all the original Star Wars, I had all the original Star Trek, I had all the original GI Joes, I had all the original Masters of the Universe, I had original Star Trek figures with weapons, you know, accessories, all that good stuff. I had play sets. I mean, just all kinds of stuff that I had that I wish I still had today. Again, I never should have sold it all off at the comic book convention. I was just tired of moving the box from house to house. And so it's just like, well, let's see what we can get for this. So ended up getting, you know, like $300 cash plus $300 in trade, you know, for all of it. And which now, you know, that's not much for all the originality that was in that box, because the box was at least 4 foot tall, and it was just a square box, you know, um, probably 18 inches by 18 inches by 4 foot tall, and it was full of nothing but action figures, play sets, um, cases, all that good stuff. And yeah, looking back, I never should have got rid of any of it, but I did. You know, that's on me. If I could go back and tell my younger self, do not get rid of this stuff, hold on to it, it'll be worth a lot more, and sell it off in like 2024, 2025, and you could, you know, be sitting next to Bill Gates. Not that you'd want to, but just money wise. When it comes to some of those action figures. Um, and then it's like, also tell your parents to buy up, you know, two or three of the action figures in bulk, you know, and just store them away. Don't open them, put them in a box, leave them in the case, in the packaging, and, you know, buy one of each action figure, you know, from the 70s and then the 80s, and never open them. That's the stuff you want to go back and tell your younger self or your parents. Hey, this is me from the future. I'm telling you now, just buy action figures. Do not open them up. Just let me know where they are, so that whenever I come back and you still have them, we can make some money off of these action figures. But hindsight's 2020. A lot of people just didn't know that back in. You son of a bitch! Did I tell anybody to go outside of TikTok to buy anything? Because now I've got the fucking restriction that I told you guys to go outside of TikTok to buy something. I fucking did not tell TikTok to go outside or anybody on TikTok to go outside of TikTok to buy anything. You stupid AI motherfucking piece of shit. This is why people get angry with your bullshit, TikTok. No one said anything. And this is every time I come on and talk about anything now. You give me a violation or a restriction. It's not a violation, it's a restriction that says I'm telling people to go outside of TikTok to buy shit. I did not. So you need to get your fucking head out of your ass and get your AI algorithm to physically listen instead of pick out keywords that it thinks is what's prominent. You got me? Because I'm not the only one that has this gripe and complaint that you're a piece of shit. All right? Welcome back, folks. All right, so what do you remember when it comes to those TV shows and movies from back in the day? Um, that's what I want to know because we had a lot of Americanized stuff as well when it came to that type of things. Um, like Space 1999, great old sci-fi show. Lost in Space, great TV series. Again, one one of those that abruptly ended, and you're like, okay, what happens? Just like with Star Trek, when it ended, it ended. There was no, this is going to be our final episode. You know, Roy, only you, buddy. Put the Miracle Whip down, okay? Some of them had hot babes on them. Well, yes, they did, and vice versa. Just like you were really going to talk about, they had hot dudes on there too. Um, and we're not talking about your Baywatch, okay? Um, that's way too deep into the conversation. Um, see, that's way too far into it. I mean, that is nostalgic television, yes, just like Bonanza or Gunsmoke and things of that nature. Um, but well, I'm surprised you didn't pull Dukes of Hazard in there with Daisy Duke, and not the movie version. See, I knew where you were gonna go with this. $6 Million Man, The Bionic Woman. I mean, you know, all those nostalgic Americanized TV shows of the day. Charlie's Angels, yep. The same is true with sports cards and comic books. Only so many made and our moms threw them. Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to look at it this way too. Nobody knew that they were going to go up in value. So whenever you got a comic book, you rolled it up and put it in your back pocket as a kid, especially in the let's say the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and not many of them were kept around. That's why you get those that are encapsulated, like we talked about one of my past shows. Um, oh, I found out a little bit more on the CBCS thing too. Um, that even if it gets a 3.0 or self-edited, yeah, absolutely. If even if it came back as a point 0.5 or a 3.0 or something like that from something from back in the 1930s and 40s, you're getting astronomical money for it because how many of them are still out in existence? 5, 15, 20 tops, and there's a billion plus people on the planet. What is it? 9 billion people on the planet. So anything that, like the first appearance of Spider-Man, the first appearance of Batman, Superman, all those things, that's why they're selling for astronomical amounts of money, because they survived somehow from being the cover ripped off, number one, from being rolled, number two, and how they survived, who knows? Some parent somewhere was like, this might be okay. Yeah, T.J. Hooker with another William Shatner, because he had two shows, Star Trek and T.J. Hooker. Yes, um, and it's not OCD; it's just what you remember. But then the cards as well. So many cards and comics and even books got thrown away back in the day. Um, and it's a sad state of affairs to know that, because it's like all that money for today is now gone. I mean, the Babe Ruth rookie card. If you had that, you're set. If you still had a 1938 Batman or Superman, you're set for life, because you sell that thing in an auction and you're looking at millions of dollars, especially if it was in great condition. You know, on a slightly unrelated topic, I have always loved Doctor Who. I've got, speaking of that, things right here. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Absolutely, Doctor Who. Plus the books that was written about Doctor Who. You know, I'm going to be drawing on these. Each one has the different doctors, the 10th, 11th, and I'm not sure which doctor this one was. You might know, because the 12th doctor was the female doctor, and this one's just the TARDIS right there. Yes, I know you're talking about the chicks, Heather Locklear, and then David Hasselhoff, your biggest favorite, as well as Tom Selleck. Yeah, I know, Roy. Those chicks you love the best. Um, but yes, no, it's not unrelated, because Doctor Who is part of that nostalgia, because it came out. Yes, I know it was British television, but the Doctor from the very first Doctor, and but the only one that we know of that mostly gets to speak of is, what is it, the eighth Doctor, seventh Doctor, whatever his name is, Tom something or other, um, that had the big scarf and canine. Yes, absolutely. Because they had the black and white series, which had the fourth and fifth doctors in it, I think. And then, what's his name? Which doctor is he? Had the big scarf, had canine with him, all that good stuff, frizzy hair, 70s doctor. Um, I can't remember what his name is right off the top of my head. And he's still around. He still goes to comic book conventions and things like that. Tom Baker. See, I knew it was Tom something. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Let's see. Don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. Just give me the fucking. All I want is the goddamn name. So Tom Holland was actually the fourth Doctor. So, or Tom Baker, not Tom Holland. Yeah, Tom Baker. Let's see. The first Doctor was William Hartnell, which was in the black and white series. And then you had second Doctor was Patrick Throton, which was also in black and white. Third Doctor was John Pertwee, which also was in black and white, and then Tom Baker, which was the fourth Doctor, was in color. And then you've got Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, and then this is where most people, the ninth Doctor is where most people came in, other than Tom Baker, with Christopher Eccleston. And then after that, then you got David Tennant, who was the 10th Doctor, and then you've got Matt Smith, 11th Doctor. Oh, so the 12th Doctor was Peter uh, Capaldi, and then the 13th Doctor was the female, which was Jodie Whittaker. And then again, David Tennant came in again for the 14th Doctor. And now they are on the current 15th Doctor, which is, I'm going to butcher this name so bad, it's not even going to be funny. Ngudi Gatwa, the first African American Doctor Who. But for the 12th or 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, the first female Doctor of the Doctor Who lineage. So there you go. And 2023 to 2025 so far. Other actors that have portrayed the Doctor have been Richard Herndal in '83, John Hurt in 2013, David Bradley 2017 and 2022, and then Joe Martin in 2020 to 2022 and 2025. So there you go. That's your Doctor Who lineage. David Tennis Shoes was my favorite Doctor. David Tennis Shoes. Let me see. I didn't even see his name in there. Yeah, I don't see that name in there. Not anywhere. Unless you're talking about David Tennant. And then that was everybody, seemed to be everybody's favorite because he seemed to have played it the longest. Um, or so it seemed. Yeah, 2005 to 2010, and then again in 2023. So he um, played it one of the longest running. I mean, it was 5 years, and then an extra year, so 6 years total. Whereas most people only did it for 3 year stints because that's apparently how often. Hold on. Well, Tom Baker played it from 74 to 81, so he might have had the longest tenure on there. Yeah, he played it for 8 years. Everybody else seems to be 2 years or 3 years tops. So Doctor Who is just one of those nostalgic TV shows too. Yes, it's British TV, but um, it's still, everybody remembers it. Seeing it on uh, PBS or the BBC channel or whatever it is now, and you can still watch it today on Sci-Fi channel and things like that on any streaming device that you have. So there's a lot of nostalgia that we remember as kids. Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of the best. I mean, David Tennant with Rose, you know, one of the greatest companions anybody could have had until her untimely passing, Tom Baker with his female companion as well, and other male actors as well, companions, but he had a lot of female companions, and he had one solid one that stayed with him, through most of his tenure. And just looking at some of this, I don't remember some of these characters at all. Uh, I remember the first four. I don't remember the fifth Doctor or the sixth Doctor or the seventh Doctor. I vaguely remember the eighth. I know I remember the ninth and the rest of them up until the new guy. So and the red-headed gal who. They just had a lot of cool creatures too, not just the Daleks, but the living skin uh, that always had to be moisturized. That was quite a concept. Uh, but all kinds of different cool characters and creatures that they brought into the Doctor's world. From him visiting different planets and things like that, solar systems and all that good stuff. Timelines. I mean, it's just one of those great shows that is going to stand the test of time. You know, played on The Official or on The Office. But it's just that, yeah, The Office. I don't know what her name is either, but yeah, I mean, starting in '63, it's just cre- it's just been creatively astounding, that it's lasted this long, from 1963 to 2025. You know, now I don't know if they're going to continue on after 2025 or not. Um, they might have just ended it, altogether, for all I know, because I don't see anything after, 2025 here. So that's something to look into, because the TARDIS is just a cool thing too. An old police booth that um, it's bigger on the inside. Yep, that is well over 60 years, friends. 1963. My brother was born in '64, so it predates him. Oh lordy, no. But all the TV shows that we can remember from back in the day that we watched on a regular basis, I watched all the crazy stuff. I mean, Outer Limits, uh, Twilight Zone, as you can from the opening video, uh, uses a part of the Twilight Zone video. Um, I mean, the list goes on and on. Night Stalker, Kojak. I mean, the list goes on and on of nostalgic if you want to get into the Americanized side of things. Since we were talking about the Japanese side of things that we remember, Land of the Lost, absolutely. Um, some of the greatest TV shows ever, and they unfortunately made mockery of them with the movies that they made with Will Ferrell and shit like that. Um, and even the remake Lost in Space movie was kind of shit, in my opinion. It didn't have the same feel as the original. Period. Not even the heart and soul. It's just that we want to make some money, so let's throw these actors together and make this movie about an old TV show. You know, and that's basically what it boiled down to. And it just felt crappy, to sit there and watch it. And yeah, they had some good special effects. Yeah, they had some cooler outfits and things like that. But that's not what the show was about. It wasn't about the. I mean, it was about the gadgetry, yes. How to fix it, how to make it better, how to improve it, how to get back home. You know, and as far as we know, Space Family Robinson is still floating around there because they were going to do a sequel to it and haven't done it yet. And that came out in what, 2010, 2018, somewhere in there. And then now we're in 2025 and we still haven't seen a sequel to it yet. They better hurry up. Most of those people are passing away left and right. I saw somebody's post as well. Let's just get on that note. Which celebrity passing hits you the hardest? There's your question. Because me, it's none of them. Because like I've stated before, it's sad they passed away. I feel for their family and their close friends. But what did they do to my life? What did they do in my life besides give me entertainment value? Absolutely nothing, you know? And so, like Ozman right back there, let us pray. You knew him personally, so that's different. Me, I don't know any of these people personally. You know, I don't even know if I'm related to any of them personally. So whenever a celebrity passes away, a composer, a artist, a voice actor, whatever, it doesn't bother me. Yeah, it's sad. Like I said, yeah, I feel for their family and their personal close friends. Since Casey, you knew Elvis 100%. I get that one. That makes sense why that one would hurt, the most because you spent time with the man. You know, I've seen actors in passing. I've met tons of actors. I've been escort for many musicians when I worked for Walmart at the shareholders meetings. Um, but when they pass for me. It's done. Okay, whoop de do. Whereas other people are breaking out the tissue and bawling and not going to work for a week um, because they can't take it. It's like, what did that person do for you other than give you music or make you laugh or make you cry on TV or whatever. You know, what did that person do in your life that makes you break down like that? Because unless you knew them personally, you and Elvis, that I get. To me, it's just another passing. Now, I get it. It's someone's father, it's someone's mother, it's someone's son, it's someone's daughter. I get the pain. Trust me. But for you to shut down completely and just boohoo over somebody that didn't pay your bills, that didn't contact you on a regular basis, that didn't come visit you, why are you falling apart? Yeah, I grew up on a ton of these people that I'm watching pass away now. I mean, Chuck Norris, you know, the one of the latest ones to pass. I was fine. Okay, I didn't boohoo. He was a great actor, but he didn't pay my bills. He didn't come visit me. We didn't talk on the phone. Absolutely, right there. We don't know. We don't really know them, and they sure as hell, you can use that, didn't know us. And so, I if I didn't know them personally and they weren't on the phone with me on a regular basis, whoop de doo, they're gone. That we're still gonna have their music, we're still gonna have their shows. Um, it's just like uh, Chadwick Boseman when he passed. You know, so many people stopped functioning because he passed. The Black Panther passed away. Okay, they'll just get somebody else to fill the slot like they did. His sister, somebody else, and it's just like, yeah, he was a great actor. He had great range of motion with his acting career. He did nothing for me except entertainment value. And so I just can't understand those people that just fall apart. I mean, William Shatner is going to be the next one of the next ones to go. I hate to say it, but he is. You know. We just had the anniversary of Leonard Nimoy's passing, and there's not many of the originals left when it comes to the 1960s cast of characters of Star Trek. Just like Burt Ward is the only one. You can't see it, but is the only one left from the '66. Well, I mean, there's might be a couple others, but Batman and Robin, 1966. Burt Ward is the only one left out of those two. You know, because Adam West already passed away. Yeah, that was. I'd met him, but again, he didn't call me on the phone. He didn't send me one of his penny cent royalty checks, to help me pay my mortgage or anything like that. So, when he passed, it was tough, but I didn't break down. I didn't stop doing what I was doing. Stan Lee, another great icon in the comic book realm. Sam Keith, just here recently, the creator of Max and a bunch of other stuff. Sandman as well, passed away at 60 some odd years old, I believe. And great loss to the community and to the art world in general. But again, he didn't know me from Adam. I only knew him because of his artwork. So, you know, I'm not over here boohooing, breaking down. Now, other people in the art industry that knew him personally and would contact him personally, you know, um, I get that. It's just like Ben Dunn. If he were to pass, I would be heartbroken over that one because I talk to him on a regular basis. I do reviews for Antarctic Press for him and his company, for him and his brother. And, would that, and I'm not getting paid for any of that. So would that end whenever he passed, or would they continue it on? Would Brian be like, hey, we need you to go ahead and keep reviewing books? Or would his brother be like, hey, or are they going to sell off? If something were to happen to one or the other brother, you know, I think Antarctic Press would be fine if it was still in the hands of Brian Denham or his brother, the other Dunn. I can't remember what his brother's name is, John or something like that. Anyway, but Ben and John, I think is what it is. I can't remember 100%. Don't get me lying. Um, but no celebrity passing has hit me the hardest, and that's just me, you know, because I'm not wired that way when it comes to if they're not immediate family, if they're not somebody that contacts me on a regular basis. And that's just, you know, how I look at it. They didn't contribute to my life other than entertainment, no matter what it was. When Patrick Nagel passed away, yeah, horrible loss to the art world, but all he did was give me entertainment value for the artwork that he produced. When Olivia goes, one of the greatest female painters in Playboy in the world, when she goes, it's going to be a hard hit to the art community. Okay. When Frank Franzetta passed, huge, huge hit to the art community. Okay. Um, who's a recent musician that passed away? Anybody know? I know several rappers have passed away here recently. Okay, big deal. Um, and it's just like I just don't understand the fathoms of how people just shut down whenever a musician passes away, like Ozzy or Chester Bennington or David Grohl. Um, was that his name? Basically passed away the same way that Chester Bennington did. But I just don't understand why you have to shut down. You know, because all they did was provide music for you. Yeah, they might have got you through some hard times or whatever, like many music does or many a TV show does or movie. But do you literally have to break down and cry and stop your living of your everyday life because a celebrity that you didn't know and they didn't know you passed away? It makes no sense to me, you know? But that's just me. Again, that's just me. I'm not wired that way, and I never will be, you know? So, that, again, just me. Just me. Just thoughts on thoughts on thoughts. There you go, Kelly. I plugged your book yet again. So, there you have it. What do you remember from a kid aspect when it comes to old TV shows, nostalgic TV shows, toys, electronics, vehicles, you know? Because growing up, I remember seeing a lot of old cars that still ran the streets, but everybody wanted that new, you know, the 70s model vehicles, the 80s models vehicles, the 90s model vehicles. And now everybody wants the pieces of shit 2025, 2026 vehicles, you know, that have every bell, whistle known to man. Oh, it drives for me. Oh, it parallel parks for me. Oh, it warms my ass. Oh, it cools my ass. You don't need that shit in your vehicle. I don't even have an AC in my vehicle. It's windows down and go. And that's a 2001. So it's already a classic, you know? So there you go. I'm driving a classic. It's got disabled veteran tags on it, so I'm only paying like $1 whenever I renew my tags, so it doesn't matter. Um, Nobody saw any lights go off right up there. They're lame here lately. They're laming it up for me. I've got 3 cat balls up there, and not a single one of them's going off during the shows. I'm sad. I'm sad. I figured Maribel up there, right there, here, and for you guys, she's right there. Would have at least set hers off once or twice by now, or even this one on the desk that you guys can no longer see because of how raised up I've done it, so that I can basically look at the camera at the same time, even though I still have to point in 2 different spots because it still doesn't match up 100%. But that's okay. It's closer than it was, and I'll be getting a haircut this weekend. Get these, get my, my flyaways gone, and just get a good trim up because I'm flowing away everywhere. I still have a lot of head of hair, even though I'm starting that receding hairline a little bit, you know. But then I'm like, there's that him stuff out there. They've got it for everything, not just the if you have that issue of ED, but they also have it for hair growth and all this other bullshit. It's just like, okay, yeah, I've seen the Rogaine commercials before where they just powder that shit on your head. Oh, look, I've got a healthy head of hair now. No, you just put hair fibers on your head and hopefully it doesn't blow away in the wind. Oh, all that goody good stuff. But some people swear by it. Just like they used to do the plugs back in the day. They'd take hair off your ass and put it on your head and in little plug sections. It just made no sense to me. If you're going bald, either shave it or get your monk look going on. One of the two. Have that thin stripe of hair going around right here, you know, and just be done with it, you know, and wear a monk's robe, even if you're not a monk, you know, just be like, and start, chanting off your whatever, the little chant that they do, the monk chant, that I don't know what it is. So, all that good stuff. We are up to 32.5 thousand likes. We are still in the popular category, even though we have a restriction because TikTok's AI decided I was telling people to go outside of TikTok to buy shit, which I did not. but they're still holding the restriction. My appeal was not approved. Um, but yeah, so nostalgia. Go back and look at the things you remember as a child, as a kid, not a child, but as a kid. Um, that way, you can reminisce and even find it out there on TV, on some one of the streaming channels out there somewhere. But I hope you all are doing great out there. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions. That is it for today. And as we like to say as we leave you guys, nope, I ain't getting it all. They're stealing some of it from me. Good old TikTok, they like to steal. That's why anytime I say anything about artwork of any kind, oh, violation, restriction, you're trying to get people to go outside of TikTok to get shit. And that's not allowed because we have our TikTok shop where you can buy everything except for my artwork. It ain't gonna happen, TikTok. You can fuck off. But as I leave you guys, I'd like to tell you guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and follow all of these lives. And as I like to say, as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.